Hello everyone. In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you 10 tips and hacks with tools, how to use them creatively and ways that maybe you didn't think about. So without further ado, let's kick it off. So our first tip is going to show you how to use 2 wrenches to do a force multiplier. Essentially, when you're using one wrench, of course, you're using this length of the wrench and your hand to remove a bolt or a nut. Now, if you run into a situation where this is on here too tight, you could use 2 wrenches. Simply connect an open end and a closed end, and at this point in time, you're able to use the center point almost as a fulcrum, and you're going to go ahead and push down, and that gives you that extra force to remove a stubborn nut or bolt. Now, this is a really cool tool. All right, so on the Acura NSX, I had a coolant hose with this type of clamp on it, and I couldn't get to it. It was being blocked by something else, and it was a really awkward angle, and I was just kind of, pulling my hair out because I didn't know how I was going to get it off. I ordered this, and this did the job. This is how it works, right? So essentially, by hand, you navigate this part wherever you need to put it at, and you put it over the clamp like that, right? And then what you do with this handle right here, let's see if I could just angle this for you guys correctly, is you press the handle, right? And it grabs on the clamp, and then you press it, and it opens up the clamp. Look at that, guys. And at that point in time, for me, I was able to slide it off the coolant hose. And the really neat thing is that it has an auto function to it because it's still holding on to the clamp. And when I want to release it, I just let go of it with this button here. And it's off. So our next tip is going to be with the screwdriver. I have a Phillips head here, and let me show you what I'm talking about. Typically, people use a screwdriver like this, right? Lefty loosey, righty tighty. But one of the most important things you guys want to learn is how to apply force down while turning. And what that does is it helps you from stripping out a screw, but it also helps the screw come out. So what I like to do is I like to push some force down on the screw while turning. And what that does, it usually helps take off the screw, and it helps you from having to do it incorrectly and strip it out. So on the topic of screwdrivers, you want to find one that has a magnetic tip. And this is the reason why it's going to help. So when you're removing a screw, sometimes you're removing a screw, and if it drops, you're in big trouble. And what a magnetic tip does is that it prevents that. Now, let me give you an example of your regular screwdriver out there. You try to remove that, and you see how it fell. So, magnetic tip screwdriver is the way to go. So the next tip I'm going to show you guys actually helped me out when I was replacing a water pump. So essentially what was wrong is I was able to break loose a nut. In this case it was a bolt, and this one's a nut. And I was only able to just move it like this, just because there was things in the way and I couldn't get more than a few millimeters of a movement. And I was just like, I'm going to be here all day. And I came up with the idea of what happens if I tried to move it with a magnet. And guys, I was able to remove that nut using a magnet, just like this. I was able to just slowly move it over with the magnet, and it gave me the space that I needed to get it off. So you guys know what a vice grip is. And for you guys out there who's been working on cars for a long time, you know that this can help you with a stripped out bolt. But sometimes your regular vice grips simply won't do the job because of the position of the bolt, or it's just too small. So if I'm trying to take this one out, look at this, guys. I just can't. I just can't get in there. And that is why having a variety of vice grips can make the biggest difference. So this is kind of has a needle nose type, and if you look, it gets in there and be able to get a hold of it. So here's a tool hack for you. And remember, you only want to do this if you're in a situation where you just don't have the right tool. And I always recommend to have the right tools, because a lot of this stuff isn't made for you to do this, but it works. So essentially we have a ratchet and we have a 12 millimeter. And if we were trying to remove, let's go ahead and tighten that up just to make sure that we are show you what we're doing. If we wanted to remove this and it was too tight and we didn't have a breaker bar, you can make one. And you find a socket that could go over the handle as far as possible, and then you get an extension if one is available, and essentially you have increased the length. It's going to be that force multiplier again, and you're able to remove it. So everyone knows your typical wrench, open in, closed in. It's just your basic one, but I would say the most second famous is going to be your ratcheting wrench. And this just saves time. It just helps you to, to undo a bolt or tighten a bolt a little bit quicker, especially if it's long. But does everyone know about a angled swiveled ratcheting wrench? Same concept, but you're able to get into different places. So remember, anytime that you have different angles or abilities, it's going to really help you, because there is a lot of places that sometimes you just need that exact angle to be able to do the job. Now I have a tip about picking up a tool. Now this is a long nose pliers that's an angled. So it's an angled long nose, needle nose pliers, kind of mouthful. Now the reason why these are really important, and this has helped out a lot, is that you'll run into a situation, and I'm going to give you a hypothetical, where you need to get something right here. So essentially, you need to get underneath this bracket and either get a screw you dropped or undo a clamp, and you simply can't. It's not possible. But the way that this is designed, check this out. You're able to get pretty much underneath it. You saw how much, and you're able to actually get to something. So this tool is really valuable to be able to get angles that you will run into in situations that just straight pliers or a conventional tool won't be able to get to. Now, sometimes you might be working in a car that you will always be using standard tools or metrics tools, but sometimes you might run into a situation where you might not have the right tool because you have a certain tool set for a certain car or make and model. Essentially, if you have standard tools or metric tools, they're interchangeable, and a lot of people don't know that. Now, they're not to the exact same specification, meaning they're not going to be identical. They're going to be off by like a fraction of a millimeter or so, or millimeter itself. But let me show you a quick example. We have a 14 millimeter wrench here, and look at this, guys. Goes over this bolt perfectly. It would remove the bolt, and it's on there snug. We have a 9/16 here. Same thing. This would get the job done if you needed it to. Now you could go on Google and check all the interchangeable numbers and sizes. I don't know all of them, but like 9/16 and 14, like we showed you. And then we have a half, and I believe 13, and there's so many other ones. But at least you guys know that they are workable and interchangeable to an extent. So I hope you guys learned something. In the comments below, let me know which one you didn't know. I'm excited about it. And also, give me a tip, maybe one that I don't know about. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. I always welcome you to punch the like button. I always welcome you to subscribe, because we got to pump those numbers up, if you know what I mean. And guys, thank you, stay safe, and we will talk to you soon.